You ever have one of those weeks where everything stinks, literally? That was me, standing in 96-degree heat on a Tuesday in July, staring at two bloated trash bins that hadn't been emptied in 3 days. I thought maybe the truck had just been running behind. No big deal. By Wednesday, I knew something was wrong. The smell hit like a gut punch the second I stepped outside. Rotting meat, spoiled seafood from my 4th of July leftovers, and something that I swear could have qualified as a biohazard. Flies started swarming like it was a biblical plague, and that's when Gary, my next-door neighbor, showed up on my porch holding a dish towel over his face. "My kids are gagging," he said. Not even trying to be polite. "You gotta fix this, man." I felt awful. I lived in Willowdale Crossing for 5 quiet, HOA-controlled years. I work from home, keep my hedges trimmed, pay my dues on time, never really ruffled feathers. But when I called the sanitation department to figure out what happened to my pickup, the woman on the phone paused, then said, "Well, sir, our records show that your service was canceled last Monday by Ms. Martha Ellington." My stomach sank. "Who?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Martha Ellington, the self-appointed queen of Willowdale and president of the HOA for the last 3 years. She's the kind of person who writes up violations if your recycling bin lid isn't completely shut. I once saw her measure someone's grass with a metal ruler, then fine them for being half an inch over the community maximum. That's not a joke. She even made the Johnsons move their bird bath 3 feet because it wasn't centered with their landscaping plan. I kept my distance, always figured it was safer that way. But that changed about a month before the trash fiasco, when Martha sent out an HOA email, cheerful tone, pastel background, you know the type, announcing a mandatory mailbox enhancement project, which basically meant every resident had to replace their perfectly functional mailboxes with some hideous $850 stone pillar that looked like a tombstone. I checked our HOA covenants. Nothing in there about mailbox design. So I replied to the email, politely, even, and said I'd be keeping mine. Her response came back fast, clipped, and passive-aggressive as hell. "It's disappointing when residents resist community improvement initiatives. Cooperation keeps our neighborhood beautiful." I didn't respond. 2 days later, she was at my door in a lavender tracksuit, clipboard in hand, looking like she'd just come from yelling at a Trader Joe's employee. "Mr. Wilder," she said, "your attitude is setting a dangerous precedent." I calmly told her that I was following the bylaws we all signed when we bought in. Her cheeks went the color of her outfit, and without another word, she turned and stormed off down my front path. Fast forward to that trash heap fermenting in my driveway. When I realized she had impersonated me to cancel my city service, I called her directly. She picked up on the first ring, voice sweet like poison. "Oh, hello, Caleb. I suppose you've noticed your sanitation situation. The HOA has decided to explore alternatives for non-compliant homes. Perhaps if you'd been more supportive of our initiatives, this could have been avoided." I couldn't believe it. "Trash pickup isn't a privilege, Martha. It's a basic service," I snapped. She just laughed, actually laughed, and said, "In Willowdale, everything is earned," then hung up on me. For the next 3 days, my front yard basically became a landfill. Bags kept piling up. The neighborhood group chat was lighting up with complaints. People talking about the smell, the flies, some even suggesting I'd stop paying my bills. Martha was fueling the fire too, making smug little comments at the dog park and sending out a newsletter with a not-so-subtle article about residents who choose chaos over cleanliness, complete with a stock image of a garbage truck crossed out in red. It was petty warfare, and I was the battlefield. But here's the thing. I'm not the type to throw punches, but I will dig. And I will document. I started keeping records. Screenshots of every email, phone logs, even photos of the garbage bags with timestamps. I also talked to my neighbors. Everyone else's pickup was fine. Tom from down the street mentioned the driver told him my address had been flagged as vacant on their route sheet. That was the break I needed. I filed a public records request with the city sanitation department. A few days later, I got back an email chain that made my jaw hit the floor. There it was, an email from Martha's HOA account, sent to the sanitation division, stating that I had permanently vacated the property and no longer required collection services. But here's the kicker, she'd CC'd her personal Gmail. Why? I don't know. Maybe for her own records. But what it did was create a paper trail. Ironclad. I bundled everything: emails, phone logs, city notices, and a disgustingly detailed photo essay of my rotting garbage pile, and filed formal complaints with both the city's Public Works Department and the state HOA Oversight Board. Within 48 hours, I got a call from an investigator named Laura Brennan. Her voice was calm but serious, and she told me what I'd reported could constitute municipal fraud. That's not a slap on the wrist kind of thing. That's potential felony territory. Meanwhile, Martha kept strutting through the neighborhood like she just won the homeowner Olympics. She even posted a selfie with the HOA sign out front captioned, "Leadership isn't always easy, but it's always worth it." The woman had no clue her little empire was about to crumble. Then came the day it did. I was outside trimming the hedge when a white city vehicle pulled into her driveway. Two folks in suits got out, holding a thick manila folder, and knocked on her door. I couldn't hear what they said, but I could sure see it. Martha opened the door looking smug as ever, until she wasn't. Her face shifted from confusion to disbelief to something that looked like real fear. She started waving her arms, her voice climbing into that shrill tone I'd heard before. The official stayed calm, handed her the envelope, and left. By dinner time, the whole neighborhood knew. Her husband Greg was spotted pacing in their driveway, phone glued to his ear. One of the moms from Elm Street posted in the community group, "HOA president fined $10,000 by the city. Can anyone confirm?" Oh, it was confirmed all right. $10,000 in total. $5,000 for submitting fraudulent service requests. $3,000 for interfering with essential municipal operations. $2,000 in admin penalties. But that wasn't all. The city also referred the case to the state attorney's office for possible criminal charges. Things got real fast. The next HOA meeting? Standing room only. You'd have thought we were electing a new pope. Martha showed up, pale and subdued, sitting at the head of the table like a dethroned monarch. The city's decision was the first item on the agenda. And then, oh boy, everyone had something to say. Mr. Langston, usually quiet as a church mouse, stood up and told the room Martha had once tried to fine him for having a disabled parking placard in his own driveway. Mrs. Patel said Martha tried to cancel her permit for a garden shed because it didn't match neighborhood aesthetic. By the end, it wasn't a vote, it was an exorcism. Final count? 32-0. Effective immediately, Martha Ellington was removed as HOA president. She stood up, trembling, and said in this thin, quivering voice, "You'll all regret this when the neighborhood falls apart." Someone in the back muttered, "We've already been living in the fallout." She stormed out, her knockoff designer tote swinging wildly, and that was that. But karma had one more gift in store. A week later, I saw her at the grocery store. She was trying to write a check, who still writes checks, and I overheard her tell the cashier she couldn't use her card because of legal expenses. Our eyes met across the cereal aisle. She froze, looked down, and left her half-full cart right there, bolting for the parking lot like she'd just seen a ghost. That was the last time I saw her. Oh, and I finally got my trash picked up. The sanitation guys actually apologized when they came by. One of them said, "Man, we had no idea. We were just going off the route sheet." That lady, phew. I installed a new mailbox that weekend. Not the $850 stone monolith Martha tried to mandate, but a sleek little metal box I'd had custom made online, right under my address. There's a small plaque that reads, "Clean, legal, untouchable." Sometimes justice doesn't come with flashing lights or courtroom drama. Sometimes it's the quiet clatter of garbage bags being hauled away, and the peace of knowing you stood up to a bully and didn't blink. What about you? Ever had to deal with a power-tripping HOA president? Do you think HOAs have too much control, or are they necessary to keep order? Drop your stories down in the comments. I've got a feeling I'm not the only one with a tale like this. And if you made it this far, give this video a like. Subscribe for more real-deal neighborhood drama, and remember, when someone tries to turn your trash into a weapon, don't get mad, just get even.